The Terran proxy war had raged for 17 standard cycles. Two galactic superpowers, the Hegemony and the Coalition, had turned the Outer Rim into a graveyard of shattered worlds and dying stars. Billions had perished in the endless stalemate, each side matching the other's technological advances with ruthless efficiency. Ambassador Kethral of the Coalition floated before the primitive viewport of the human orbital station, his bioluminescent patches flickering with desperate hope. Behind him, General Torres, a weathered woman whose eyes held the weight of a species still learning its place among the stars, studied the holographic battlefield projections.
"You understand what you're asking,"
Torres said quietly.
"Once we commit, there's no halfway measures. That's not how humans fight."
The Hegemony has deployed planet crackers. Kethral's translator rendered his clicks and whistles into flat, desperate words.
"Entire systems burn while we exchange pleasantries about rules of engagement. Your species is new to galactic politics, yes, but new maybe. Naive, no."
Torres gestured to the tactical display where red markers indicated hegemony positions.
"You've been fighting this war like a chess match. Calculated moves, proportional responses, trying to minimize collateral damage to maintain post-war diplomatic relations. It is the civilized way. It's the losing way."
Torres pulled up historical files on her datapad.
Earth's 6th World War lasted 4 hours. Not because we lacked weapons or strategy, but because we'd learned something your species apparently hasn't.
Kethral's patches dimmed.
Which is, war isn't a negotiation. It's a conclusion.
6 hours later, the first human fleet translated into real space above the Hegemony's primary staging ground at Zerion Prime. The Hegemony defense grid immediately activated, energy barriers and point defense systems coming online with practiced efficiency. Admiral Hassan watched from the bridge of the U.S. Decisive as his tactical officer reported readiness. No preliminary bombardment. No demand for surrender. No attempt at communication with the enemy.
"Execute Protocol 7,
Hassan commanded. What followed would later be called the Zerion Massacre, though human historians preferred the term
Zerion Solution.
The human fleet didn't engage the Hegemony's military assets first. Instead, they targeted infrastructure, power generation, communication hubs, manufacturing centers, civilian orbital platforms, everything that made the Hegemony's war machine possible.
"They're attacking non-military targets,"
screamed Hegemony Command to anyone who would listen.
"This violates 17 intergalactic conventions."
But the humans weren't listening to Hegemony Command. They had already destroyed it. Within 3 hours, every Hegemony world fell silent. Not dead, humans weren't monsters, but suddenly, completely cut off from their own empire.
No
communications, no supply lines, no coordination between fleets.
"Surrender now,"
Hassan broadcast on all frequencies.
"and we'll help you rebuild. Continue fighting, and we'll dismantle your entire civilization piece by piece."
The Hegemony's scattered fleets, suddenly isolated and without orders, faced a terrible choice. Some continued fighting, engaging human vessels in what they assumed would be honorable combat. They learned that humans didn't fight honorably. They fought to win. Human tactics were brutal in their efficiency. No prolonged engagements, no testing of defenses. Overwhelming force applied at the enemy's weakest points, followed by immediate exploitation of every opening. When Hegemony admirals expected theatrical naval battles, human forces simply bypassed their fleets entirely and captured their supply bases. By the 6th hour, Hegemony leadership was broadcasting unconditional surrender from the few communication nodes the humans had left operational. Ambassador Kethral found General Torres in the same position as before, watching the tactical displays. Where red markers had covered half the galaxy, only empty space remained.
"How?" Kethral whispered. You fight wars to make points, Torres replied without turning around. We fight wars to end them. You preserved infrastructure, worried about post-war reconstruction, maintained diplomatic options. We removed those concerns by ensuring there wouldn't be a post-war period, only post-victory. But the conventions, the rules of civilized warfare. Torres finally faced him, her expression carved from granite. Those rules exist between equals who expect to fight again someday. The hegemony won't be fighting anyone again for a very long time. On the tactical display, green markers spread across former hegemony space as human reconstruction fleets moved to restore order. Not conquest. Humans had no interest in ruling alien territories. Just the systematic rebuilding of a civilization under new management. The war is over, Torres announced to the Coalition High Command. You can start planning for peace now. In the aftermath, xenosociologists would study the human solution for centuries, trying to understand how a species barely 2 centuries into space travel had ended a 17-cycle conflict in 6 hours. The answer, they concluded, was terrifyingly simple. Humans didn't see war as politics by other means. They saw it as a problem to be solved.